Guys, this student has gone from Gold 3 to Diamond 4 in just over 2 weeks. If you want coaching just like this, he's a jungle player from EU West. There will be Discord links down below. You can join my Discord, ask me questions in it. You can send me a DM and we can schedule something. And in this video, I thought I'd just go through the recent session I did with him in terms of what I told him and stuff. I think it's really informative. So we're just going to be going through one of his gameplays here. If you do enjoy the video, please remember to leave a thumbs up, and any questions about the moves, let me know in the comments. Now, Uda in this game, guys, is against the Greys, and he should just start red buff in this game because you don't want Greys going from like red Krugs or red Krugs Raptors into your red buff and pressuring you there, especially when you have a really weak mid laner. It's okay to start blue like this if you have really strong laners. It's like the only situation you can do this. So if you have like Darius top with 2 combat summoner spells, you have like Cassio mid's a good option. You could have someone else with like really good prior, like a Zoe for example, Relia, Yasuo, Yone maybe. These champions who are pretty good at fighting in the early game, you wouldn't mind starting blue buff here and actually starting a fight. But because he's got Veigar mid here, just start red buff. It takes away the red buff from Greys, so he can't get 2 of them, and there's less pressure on you. If a fight ends up happening, at least you have red buff and not blue buff, which means nothing. In this game, Greys starts bot side, so we know that Greys has gone red Krugs Raptors, and then after his Raptors, he could do anything here. He could run it the Udyr's red buff, he could gank any lane right, he can do anything. Udyr keeps clearing. Now, if you are also going to start like this, guys, please ward your second buff as the weaker jungler, but the actual key moves in this video I want to get into come after this. So there ends up being a fight around this like Krugs area, and Udyr ends up getting 1 kill, but they do end up dying here. The Udyr and Alawi, and Greys ends up getting 2 kills. Now, I want to talk about both junglers here, right? Also, by the way, this is like kind of a nice trick this student does. You can go Raptors on Udyr maybe, and probably other like quick clearers of AoE camps. So just like camps with multiple monsters, and then you come back to red buff. The reason this is nice is by going Raptors Krugs, you sequence them, and by finishing red buff, you're closer to like the other side of the map. If you finish Krugs, you're really locking yourself into the top side of the map. Of course, you can come back and do bot crab or gank mid, but you're a little further away. Anyway, this play here, the Greys ends up killing the Udyr. And even though Udyr like ends up getting an assist, not a kill, we have to think about what both junglers are going to do here. Now, I'm going to teach you how Greys should just insta-win this game, and I'm also going to teach you how Udyr can get back in this game and actually get ahead of the Greys after this. So this is really important. When the Greys kills him here, I think the Greys has taken his red buff, but the student does an excellent thing here. This is really 5-head. He clicks on the Greys. Why is it useful? Look in the top left for me. He sees the red buff timer. This is close to expiring, which means the Greys, because we know he started on his red buff, my red buff is still up as Udyr here. So I've got 2 options, right, really at a base. I can run at my red buff, or what's the other option maybe? Is to run for the bot crab. Now, if Greys actually took my red buff here, there is no way I'm running anywhere else but the bot crab, yeah? Because bot side of the map, guys, if we think about it, it's going to take about 30 seconds to run to the middle of the map, yeah? 25-30 seconds. So when we get to the middle of the map, it's going to be close to 4 minutes. What is important about 4 minutes? It's going to be close to your first camp respawns. So bot side of the map for both junglers here. So top side really is irrelevant unless the Udyr goes for the red buff or the top crab. So we have to keep watching this fight to really know what we're going to do, because our jungle movement and what camps we go to, it's based off the enemy jungler, purely. So when Greys ends up killing Alawi here, the Udyr does a very good job of looking at the Greys still, right? So we're wondering, where do I go? Am I going to my red buff or the bot crab? Greys makes it look as if he's actually going for the red buff here, but he actually does a good thing and doesn't go for it, because the Greys is half HP. As Udyr, with Conqueror as well, I fancy my chances just because his red buff is not going to make up for the fact I've got twice his HP. So Udyr can definitely defend his red buff here, and it will take Graves a good 15-20 seconds to do this, so he can definitely catch him on it if he's doing it. Now, how does the Greys win this game? He just got 2 kills top. Who wants to tell me how he wins this game? The Greys should just recall here. Greys recalls, and he runs to the bot crab. Remember what I said, the bot side of the map is going to have Gromp Krugs, Wolves Raptors. That is where the resources are, that's where the enemy jungler, in that case Udyr, is going to be. Do you win a 1v1? You've got 2 kills, you've got 4 or 5, maybe at least 4 camps underneath you. You're easily going to have enough for a Dirk here. You can just sprint towards the bot crab out of base here, hit level 4 off the bot crab, and it's an insta-win. Graves does not do this, which is understandable because it's like Diamond EU West, but still, that's how he can win this game pretty much instantly. So the Udyr going here is definitely correct. Now, as he's doing this camp, hopefully all that makes sense, by the way, guys. Any questions about that, leave them in the comments. Udyr doing his red buff here. If you're going to gank a lane, guys, like after doing a camp or something, please look at that lane while you're doing the camp. And if you see here, we can see that Cassio is holding the top side of mid and ends up warding the top of mid here. So this brush. So Udyr, if he's going to gank mid, should really go from around here like this. Best thing about that as well is that if the gank doesn't actually happen, you can just go for the bot crab and you're chilling, right? So that's what he should do. So make sure you guys are looking at the lane as you're clearing the camp. So when he comes in here, it's kind of like lucky how it just works out, how Cass is actually killable, and you can see how she Qs the Udyr because it's warded. Now they do end up getting a flash, and Udyr ends up running to the bot crab, and thankfully Graves is not here. And this is why you guys can always come back, right? Games are going to be tough. You're going to die early game. Some things are going to happen, right, out of your control, and you're going to die, right? But you have to understand, guys, if you're not playing in like high challenger, these junglers are going to let you back in the game because they don't jungle properly and find the moves that I'm trying to teach you here. After this crap, he ends up deciding to gank mid lane, which is fine because there's a few reasons here. Ganking mid looks a little sketchy here because there are 3 champions in Fog. Graves, enemy support, enemy AD carry. Enemy AD carry, 99% of the time, is going to go back to bot lane here. Enemy jungler could definitely be here. Enemy support could definitely be here. So making this play might be a little risky for Udyr, but he's level 4 with red buff and Conqueror. And the item difference, even if Graves is like running around this area with a Dirk, it's still not bad for Udyr because he has red buff and Conqueror. So if he does actually end up fighting like 2v2 here with the Cass and Veigar, he should actually be kind of chilling, and this person has no flash. Important when you gank lanes, guys, you ping minions. He should be pinging this melee minion right here. On the way, pinging is good, don't get me wrong, but you want to be saving this for the actual real timing, yeah? Because when you do this, Adak War on Veigar is going to start sprinting forward. It's too early. Ping the melee minion they're going for. Ping the cannon minion they're going for, and then you ping on the way. Veigar and Udyr move up at the same time, pinch the Cass, and should 100% die, because I guarantee you she would be going for that melee minion and should die. So that's really important when you gank lanes. Udyr here ends up going for Graves' Raptors. He has Smite, he clears Cass very quickly. If Graves is not here in the next 5 seconds, Udyr gets Raptors. It's definitely worth trying to greed for this, and there's no real kill threat just because we see Shen in bot lane. So as far as jungle support goes, I'm not going to get pinched here. We see Shen bot. Now we see Graves is top. So as we're auto-attacking camps, we're looking at our map. Graves is top. What would you guys do? You go for Krugs, right? It's past 420. It's 5 minutes. So Krugs are up. Level 4 Krugs. Take these bad boys. If Graves decides to invade your top side, it's very hard for him to do. Well, he actually could, I guess. But the danger there is, like, Udyr could always base and run there, right? And it's a bit of a stretch. Like, even Allow, he can catch the Graves. And he's losing his whole bot side. Anyway, when you're clearing Krugs here, guys, just like this student, ping on the way to, like, a lane. Just ping something to happen here, because they're both full HP. And ideally, you'd love to gank this lane because you know the enemy jungler is top. So even with this situation, you're thinking about the enemy jungler and factoring them in to your decision to gank, right? That has to happen all the time. Just like I mentioned for ganking Cass mid. We know that Graves, if he is there, we probably win 2v2. In this bot lane situation, he's not here, so we can 3v2. Ping them to go in, ping on the way. And then, hopefully, this gank would look even better because the Nyla's low HP, Shen and Nyla are like under your tower and stuff, and hopefully you can get a kill there. And then Udyr here, I told him to recall. The reason being is because Graves is definitely recalling at that point, right? And just running somewhere on the map with his Dirk longsword, something like this. Udyr, because you're already level 5, and you do have Lucids here, you are missing HP, and you are like less than half mana. Here you can just recall because you just run straight back to bot side of the map. You can get here on time for wherever Graves is going to be. If Graves decides to do Dragon, you'll get here in time. If he decides to invade your Gromp, you'll get here in time. The only thing you're worried about is actually your bot lane fighting. Because in a 3v3, I think you lose. I think Shen, Nyla, and Graves win just because of the Graves difference a little bit here. And we can look for a better fight. Why don't we fight when I'm full HP? With Lucids, yeah? Everyone just relax until that point. So recall here, ping them off, and get to that timing where Graves might be. So I thought recalling here was very important. Udyr ends up doing Gromp, and then he ends up doing Wolves. Now we know that Graves, because we saw him here, you can see on the map, is around the Dragon area. So Udyr running over here is excellent, right? Because he sees the Veigar as low and covers this off, saying, Graves, if you run over here, I'm here to protect my mid laner. Now, I say protect my mid laner, which you never really want to do, right? But in protecting the mid laner, you're going to get a kill if Graves goes for a dive. You're getting gold and experience. Afterwards, he thinks that Graves is on Dragon, which is the correct late read. Very important here, guys, as well. Udyr ends up doing this too late. He needs to start pinging laners, like, specifically here. Like, what champions do you want? Like, asking for assistance is pretty vague. Let's try to be more specific. Let's ping our mid laner who's just TP'd with full HP and full mana and items. Let's ping our support who's playing Nautilus for a situation like this. Like, don't you want to hook someone on Nautilus? Let's ping these champions to get over here. This is a level 4 Graves, and Dragon is still going to be here for, like, maybe even close to 10 seconds. That's how long they're going to take to clear this. Let's bring our champions down here, and maybe we can fight them and start something. But he pings the Veigar now when Dragon is already dead. As soon as he knew this, guys, as soon as the student ran into the river, he should be pinging. Even in this situation, we know that they did Dragon and Veigar is still holding the bottom side of mid, the Udyr should ping the bottom side of the river here, because Graves ends up killing the Veigar. after this, even though he just did Dragon and Veigar's going to have a big message on his screen that the blue team just finished Drake. What happens next is kind of beautiful, mate, what this student does, and I can tell that he has ascended in terms of jungling. Look at this picture for me. If this doesn't happen, right, let's just say that Graves is not ganking mid, he's doing his own thing. What would you do after blue buff? We look at the time, we look at the gold, we consider the enemy jungler. Okay, I don't think I have a hit on the Graves here. That's if Graves is like, not doing this. I'm going to recall and path towards Rift Herald, top side. But this is different. Graves is less than half HP and killable. 1v1, you kill him, right? Easily. Udyr makes the right play. He looks for a hit on the Graves based on the time, based on what the Graves might do in the next 30 seconds. Is there a camp? Is there something? Is there golden experience Graves might want soon that I can hit him at? Well, I'm doing my blue buff as Udyr. I know that Graves, he started at his red buff. And I'm doing my blue buff on spawn. His red buff is definitely spawned at this point. So maybe after that play, Graves runs to his red buff. And the Udyr, instead of also running just straight down, because there's been like a dragon play here, this area could be warded very easily, so he almost avoids it by going around and looks to pinch the Graves if Graves runs through here. Very smart indeed. Also, if he runs around this corner, maybe he'll get there in time. And here he just takes the Raptors and ends up taking the red buff. Now, maybe here the Udyr should actually run in the brush to know if Graves is coming, because that would be like pretty fat, right? Like if Graves runs in the brush, he's going to know Udyr's here. So maybe run in the brush and then do it, or do it, run in the brush. But you don't want to use cooldowns here until you know Graves is not here. But after this, Raptors, then into red. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, why is the Graves not here? He's either doing a recall into his bot side, or maybe even top side, or he's running top. Because the only champion who can die here, guys, in terms of like you want to like save them, you don't want to like, you want to prevent Graves from getting golden experience, is Alawi. It's the only champion he can kill. You ping top side. These camps are up because he's not here. Where is he then? That's what you got to figure out and ping, communicate to your teammates. Now, after red buff, let's just say that Graves doesn't gank this lane. What would you do? Would you do his Krugs as well? Well, no, right? Because look in the top right. If you do his Krugs, what is potentially going to happen? Remember, taking Krugs is good if you don't give up anything on the other side of the map. But I think here, Graves might have potential, if he doesn't show top that is, to maybe do the Rift Herald on spawn with his priority mid laner. And even though I got Raptors, Red, and Krugs, I still think Rift Herald is worth more than these 3 camps. That's what I believe. Udyr doing red buffer is definitely correct because he can still recall, and I think he can still get to Rift Herald on time if Graves does it on spawn, right? Going to Krugs is a mistake. You should insta-recall after red. It's all about timings, guys. And if you are going to take the enemy jungler's Krugs, please look at your wave. If your wave is near your tier 2, the enemy wave is also near their tier 2. It's going to be correlated, right? So keep that in mind when you are going for the enemy jungler's Krugs. Please do not show on this wave, because Udyr here, you can see how he now shows, Udyr has massive pressure on the Graves here. Now it's just relinquished because we showed on the map. Now even Graves can think about running straight to Rift Herald and doing it. With Prior mid, Alawi's dead, he's got Prior top, right? He can lose Rift here, definitely. Even if bot lane was fighting here, by the way, guys, so let's just say Ashe and Nort or 2v2ing Shen and Nyla, and Udyr could gank that lane, it's still not worth in my opinion. Yes, you might get a couple of kills, even 2 kills, but you're giving up a lot topside. You're going to give up Rift Herald, Raptors, Krugs, and maybe even your red buff after that. Graves will be higher level, and it's just more worth for him in terms of that trade. And that's it for the video, guys. Hopefully this was useful. Again, leave a like down below if you learned something. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Don't be shit, bye.